like for the algorithm, because a deadbeat mom brings a baby to store in just a diaper in the freezing winter.
Bruh.
This is just sad. You gotta see it to believe it, though. I'm just gonna dive in and read some of this article because when I saw this, I could not believe it. Now, police called on a baby, and this is in Mississippi, so shout out to Allen's home state. You see this baby, and you see this mom just like throwing frozen stuff at him or at her, the child, and props to, and she looks like she's going off and cussing, and now she's twerking, saying F that, and then somebody called the police on her. Now, let's go through this article because when I read this, I just couldn't believe it, and I was like, we got to talk about this.
Yeah.
So props to Miracle for sending this into our group message. It says the family of a Mississippi woman arrested for child abuse after taking her toddler shopping at Walmart with only a diaper on during freezing temperatures said she is a good mom. That's
Didn't look like
that's just not. I mean, good
like
moms
liberal
don't
parenting.
twerk in front of their kids like that.
She's 26 too.
Yeah, she's our age.
Yeah.
Well, you're.
I'm there. Don't do that.
You're freshly 27.
Exactly. I'm still.
No comment. It says Cambria, I think that's her name, Cambria. Gabrielle Darby, 26, was charged with child neglect after police received a call to the store around 10:30 a.m. on January 17th and found the mother in the parking lot, according to WJTV. Darby's confrontation and rant inside the store went viral after the video was posted by a Walmart employee. But Darby's great aunt, Mary Darby Pickens, you're just going to have, is it Darby just a standard middle name in this family?
Probably her maiden name.
That's probably
that's
what
true.
it is.
That's true. Wait, no, but
It's not.
You're right. It is the maiden name. Who lives in Jackson, Mississippi. Shout out Alan. Where Cambria and many of her relatives reside, said she had never seen evidence of Cambria being a bad mother. Well,
We have.
Marie, here it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
You're tripping.
That's
My
all,
thing is,
that's all
like-
you need to see.
Yeah,
If she's never been a bad mother and you've never seen
This is
evidence
it.
of it, well, that's it.
They could be used to this kind of thing, though. I mean, you're not going to recognize bad parenting if you're used to
Or if
bad
you're-
parenting.
Or if you're a bad parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're doing great.
You're doing great, baby.
Oh.
Just make sure you do
Oh,
that.
that baby
You're good.
shivering.
Exactly.
Bare butts on the metal.
And people were saying, well, the baby wasn't reacting, but if you look closely,
He looks like.
he's shivering. Like you can see his jaw. Like
Yeah.
you can see it. Like you can see it clearly if you look at him.
It don't even matter. This is just crazy.
It's insane. And I
Yeah.
can't believe, and people in the comments, of the story, well, did anybody try to help her instead of try to get her arrested? I'm like, this is helping her. But we got to think about the child first.
Well, and it looks like those people confronted her. I mean, what are you going to do? Take the child and run? Now
Right.
you're a kidnapper. Like, you can't just do that to somebody's child. The correct thing to do is to call the authorities. That's why they're
Exactly.
there. But people are so anti,
Children.
police that
And that.
they're like, hey, we can just solve problems civilly. It's like, yes, but when we can't, especially after you've been confronted, well, what's the next logical step?
Exactly.
It's to call the authorities. Or you can do something crazy and start a confrontation, but then inevitably the authorities are going to get called, and now you're in trouble because you started a confrontation, right? So
Yeah.
the correct thing to do in this situation is to go up in a respectful manner, say, hey, I don't think this is right. You need to, change your ways. If you get the response that Cambria has given you, then that's when you call the authorities. Right.
Yeah.
So,
And this is a really good example of the lack of empathy we now have for children in general, because 20 years ago, this would not be acceptable, we would immediately be like, okay, she needs to be arrested. This child needs to be taken from her and put in a safer, better home, right?
And she would go to an asylum.
Yes, but now you got comments like, why didn't anyone try to help her? And it's because we lost that empathy for children because we no longer see them as people.
Yeah, I would say what you said about anti-children. I definitely think that's probably like number one, honestly, because every other issue, there's something going on. But when it comes to children and things like children trafficking, things like that, there's just a lack of importance surrounding it.
Yes.
And then also the comment you said, like people were saying that the child's not reacting. You can see like the child is like dissociating a little bit, and it's like
the child doesn't know how to get warm. They don't know how to get warm, so they're gonna sit there.
You could tell. I can't tell if it was a boy or a girl. But
it's a boy.
Okay. You could tell like he wasn't a happy child.
Yes.
Like you can see it on his face, which is sad. So.
And then she's throwing frozen foods at him. Like, look at this, just frozen foods, and that's crazy. So back to Marie. Marie she also said she did not use drugs, as if that justifies.
Oh, great.
Just because you don't do drugs doesn't mean you're a good mother.
That actually makes it kind of worse. You're doing this sober.
Yeah, exactly.
My God, you have a clear mind doing this? Yeah. My goodness.
Everything I've seen, and this is a quote from Marie, everything I've seen with her and the kids has been positive. Pickens, a retired social worker, told the Post, I don't condone that what was done, and it was right to be reported, but we don't know both sides of the story. What's the other side? There is no other side of the story. There's only one side of the story.
Social worker.
That's truth.
Concerning.
It's very concerning. But you got people like this in the social work system all the time.
There's no other side of this story. What is she talking about?
Yeah. Didn't she say something like, what if the child took their clothes off? It doesn't matter what the child does. You make sure that child is clothed. It doesn't matter.
So sometimes kids can be difficult not wanting to put their clothes on or taking them off. And maybe she was in a rush. So this is just a hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
Because did that kid,
happen?
First of all, the kid took the clothes off. Where are the clothes? It's like, that's just dumb. The clothes would be there, or her first reaction would have been like, oh no, he has clothes, but since he was being a bad little kid, we left the clothes in the car. Like she would have said something,
but instead she's just like working.
Which still wouldn't have been fine, by the way. I'm not saying that would have been fine, but
even if the child did do that, it's your job as the parent, like you were saying, to make sure your kid has clothes on. If he needs a spanking before he puts his clothes on, he needs to give a spanking and put his clothes on. Like
that's another example of like letting your kids lead you kind of deal. Like get in that same mind frame of that of well, your child did this, so you got to react this way. Well, what can you do? Like.
Now the excuses get even worse. So it says Pickens said Cambria brought her 3 kids to see their 92-year-old great-great-grandmother when she was dying, and she acted very appropriately, and so did the kids. So what does that have to do with anything?
What does that even mean?
This is an appropriate question for the.
What does that have to do with?
Now this is a correlation causation question. That is it.
It's just a dumb statement.
Yeah.
There's a waste of breath and air, and it's just sad. It's don't make excuses for bad behavior. Like you don't know the side of the story. She's been good in the past. It's like, well,
she's not in this moment.
Now she's showing her lack of fruit in this instance.
Yes.
And she needs to be dealt with accordingly.
And if she really needed help, she would have went in that Walmart and said, look, y'all, someone give me some money, some clothes. I need help. I need food. My baby needs clothes. Like, she would have done that. But no, she was going around shopping. She was fine.
And then it gets even better. She says, I'm not saying there are underlying mental health issues in her case, but you need to find out her story. What she did showed poor judgment, certainly, and it's very unfortunate because one incident like this can ruin a life. Cambria's mother, Lakeisha Darby, hung up on a Post reporter who heard the sound of young kids in the background. So this is just quite the story. I mean, and it brings up, I mean, an interesting quality sip. Bad parenting is the reason why strong community is paramount.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just statistically, everybody can't be a good parent.
Yeah.
Like, that's just one of those little bell curves, that you had in statistics. But if we had strong communities and people, then like you hear about it all the time, like when, you had a mom that was on drugs. Like, so my mom and I watched the Simone Biles movie that came out on Lifetime like 7 months ago today. And Simone's mother was heavy into drugs, but since she had great grandparents, they legally adopted her. And that's how she got into gymnastics. And they were there, every step of the way through gymnastics. But had she stayed with her mom, who was,
Circumstances.
in like just heavy into the drug scene, then she would have never been Simone Biles. And I believe her mom's doing well now. Like the story
Good.
indicated that like she had kind of gotten her, life together, was working with people. So I hope that has remained consistent since the end of where that movie ended in real life. But yeah, like if you have a strong family, strong community where people can, pick other people up, because I mean things will happen, and it's sad that maybe this mother is going through some sort of mental health thing.
Right.
But if that's the case, then somebody needs to help, rear these kids appropriately, because like we said in our last segment, the children are the future, and if they aren't being reared properly to be productive citizens, well then our future is going to be dark.
Yeah.
And so, bad parenting is inevitable. Like there's just going to be bad parents, but a strong community is of utmost importance so that we can continue to, have productive members of society.
It
Oh,
looked
y'all
like
looking at Sonic?
Looked like she was falling asleep,
She
standing
is.
up.
She
Like-
is. That's what she does. I was like, what are y'all looking at? But
She said, "What's so funny?"
but yeah, so do y'all have any closing thoughts before we go on out of here?
Stop wearing bonnets in the store. Stop it. Get some help.
Stop thinking twerking is cute in
Yes.
public. That's not cute. You
Yes.
look ratchet. And that on top of a bonnet and poor parenting is not cute.
We're going to get on out of here for tonight. We want to thank you for tuning in.